So what do we think is different about the Omicron variant that may make it the last one before we go from pandemic to endemic? I love that endemic begins with the word end. So again, talk about the difference between pandemic and endemic and what Omicron might be doing to get us there.
So Tom, the difference between pandemic and endemic really means the control of the virus. Is it an uncontrolled outbreak or is it something that we've controlled? It doesn't necessarily mean what level of control, it just means something that's within our control. And I'm really hopeful that this is the last variant. One of the optimistic things about this variant has been almost the silver lining on the cloud, so to speak, is that it made so many people so sick so quickly because it was so contagious. So in a way, it's immunized most of the population very quickly. So I like to say the virus got almost too greedy, found too many hosts and made them sick. So now what we have to wait and see is that because of the fact that so many people got sick and recovered so quickly, they, at least for the short term, are protected from reinfection. Did that help us to get to that herd immunity? And will that thwart the emergence of a new variant? We don't yet know that, but that's what we're hoping for.
And we've been talking a lot about reaching the peak that's been happening in different places across the country. How will we know when Omicron has reached the peak here in Colorado?
This is hard because we sort of have blinders on now because a lot of people are doing at-home testing. So positivity and case rates was really how we knew that we, were turning the corner or not. But because of at-home testing, those are less reliable metrics. So in a way, the peak is almost going to be in our rear view mirror. And remember, we're 2 weeks behind the virus by definition because of just how long it takes to manifest and such. So we really have to make sure that we don't start letting our guard down prematurely, because just a little bit of noise or a little bit of going down in the positivity doesn't necessarily mean that we've reached the peak, although we are hopeful based on what we've seen on the East Coast.
Well, at the risk of premature optimism and the idea that maybe we are on the way down now from the peak, what does that look like for us? Well, how do we best behave on the backside of a peak to make sure that it is a long, slow ride down back to normal?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because when we think about it like a roller coaster, when you're going up the peak, you're going up, and we went up pretty quickly actually because Omicron was so contagious. Now, assuming we're at the top of the peak or just starting to come over the peak, what is that ride down going to look like? Is it going to be a steep drop off, or is it going to be a plateau where we might stay elevated and have a smoldering long tail for a while? And the good news here, that is within our control. Just like we've said before, how quickly we drop off depends largely upon our behavior. So what we don't want to do is to let our guard down prematurely and allow that infection to smolder because it finds now new hosts that didn't get infected with Omicron the first time around. So we want to keep that guard up until that positivity comes down to about 1 to 2%. So we are quite a ways from where we need to be, but hopefully within the next few weeks we might be able to get there.
It's like running a race. You got to run through the tape. You don't let up at the end. Take it
right.
all the way to the finish. All right, Dr. Coley, thanks as always. Good to see you.